Alabama was ranked 5th according to the CFP playoff rankings. I know that's redundant, CFP playoffs. That's a bit redundant, but they were ranked 5th. Now, I believe that they still have a good shot at making the playoffs. There are only 8 real contenders, and those are the top 8. So that would be LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, Oregon, Utah, and Minnesota. So let's eliminate possible contenders or eliminate possible teams from those 8 in Alabama's worst case scenario, which those teams win, and Alabama, even though the worst case would be that Alabama loses out, that's probably not going to happen at all. They're probably going to win out, actually. So let's look at the scenario where they win out, and let's see the worst case scenario from that. So let's look at Oregon and Utah first. They'll probably play each other in the Pac-12 championship, even if both teams do not win out, especially Oregon does not have to win out in order to play Utah in the Pac-12 championship. So only one of those teams, if they play each other in the Pac-12 championship, will have an actual shot of making the college football playoffs. Same thing goes for Ohio State and Minnesota. Even if they don't win out, they will probably play each other in the Big Ten championship. Even if they lose, in Ohio State's case, to Penn State and Michigan, and in Minnesota's case, Iowa and Wisconsin, even though they both should win out completely, they'll face each other in the Big Ten championship. And again, only one of those teams will make it to the college football playoffs, or can make it to the college football playoffs. And then after that becomes LSU. LSU should win out their remaining games, and in the SEC championship should play either Georgia or Florida. If they play Florida, that means that Georgia lost to Auburn, Texas A&M, or Georgetown, which would essentially put Georgia out of the whole CFP race. And if they do play Georgia, LSU probably is going to win and therefore eliminate Georgia completely, especially after Georgia lost to Southern Carolina, right? Southern Carolina Gamecocks. I think that's what it was. South Carolina Gamecocks. And then Clemson is pretty much a lock. Even though their schedule was insanely weak, they're pretty much a lock. And so they're most likely going to go undefeated this year and win the ACC championship pretty easily. So with Georgia either losing to LSU in the SEC championship or to one of their teams that is in their upcoming schedule, Auburn, Texas A&M, or Georgetown, Georgia's out of the race completely. And then Oregon and Utah will face each other in the Pac-12 championship, so they'll eliminate one of them from contention. Same with Ohio State and Minnesota in the Big Ten championship. So the final rankings, in no specific order, should be this: LSU, Clemson, and 3rd, Oregon or Utah, 4th, Ohio State or Minnesota, and then at 5, Alabama. Now the question becomes, what can happen for Alabama to sneak into one of those spots that's not 1 and 2, but instead 3 and 4, where Oregon or Utah or Ohio State and Minnesota could be? And the first thing that they could do is just do their part and win out. They gotta stay competitive, make it entertaining, have blowouts. They cannot leave any doubt that they are a good team that just lost to the number 1 ranked team. And then secondly, they need LSU to stay undefeated. If their only loss is to an undefeated LSU team that is taking college football by storm, that one loss does not look as bad as, say, Oregon's loss to potentially Utah as well as Auburn, or Georgia's loss to potentially LSU and the South Carolina Gamecocks, like I mentioned before. And then the third thing is a bit more luck-oriented. They need Oregon to lose one of their season games and then beat Utah in the Pac-12 championship, or they need Minnesota or Ohio State to lose one of their season games and then beat the other team in the championship game. Why am I saying it in that order? For example, Oregon losing a seasonal game and then beating Utah in the Pac-12 championship. Well, suppose that Oregon somehow loses to Arizona State, not Ohio State. Arizona State University or Arizona. they'll drop from where they're ranked at number 6 right now to number 15 or something around that rank. Utah would slide up in the rankings to probably 6th if Oregon were to slide down by that much, because Oregon's currently at number 6, Utah's at number 7. So if Utah wins that week or wins out from there, they'll probably slide into number 6. So that means the Pac-12 championship will be potentially a number 6 seed, or not seed, ranked, number 6 ranked, that's the correct terminology, number 6 ranked Utah team against a number 15 ranked Oregon team in the Pac-12 championship. And then if that number 15 ranked Oregon team would win, they'll even out the rankings at number 8, number 9, probably Oregon at number 8, and Utah at number 9, opening the door for Alabama to make it into the playoffs. So overall, Alabama still does have a good shot at making the playoffs, especially if they win out in entertaining fashion and with a little bit of luck on their side. But ultimately, their faith lies in the hands of the Pac-12, who hasn't had a team make the playoffs since 2017 in Washington, and as well as the Big Ten and just a bit in LSU, who needs to win out for Alabama to even have a chance at making the playoffs.